I am sitting with the voice of the Crimson Tide. It is Mr. Chris Stewart. Thank you for spending time with me today,
Glad
Mr.
to.
Stewart.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Again, actually, we have a
Yeah.
little bit of a history from way back in the day,
Yeah.
long before you were the voice of the
Look,
Crimson
man,
Tide.
if you work in this business long enough, chances are pretty good you're going to work together at some point, or cover the same event. So it's great to see you
Yeah,
again.
great to see you too. Of course, I've seen a lot more of you since you have risen through the ranks, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's been fun.
First of all, let's talk about where you come from. Where are you from, Richard?
Yeah, I grew up in Fairfield.
Mhm.
Grew up in Fairfield, went to school in Birmingham at Central Park Christian.
Yeah.
And got to play, besides getting a great education, got to play a little basketball and golf, and went from there to Montevallo College. Yeah. And I've never lived more than 45 minutes from where I was born.
Wow,
lived
that's so
in
cool.
Montevallo,
yeah,
to back to Hoover, and most of my adult life in Hoover, and I'm in McCalla now, right by Bent Brook Golf Course. So,
oh yeah, yeah.
so I get to get a little exercise there, and when I'm not working, and enjoying life.
I bet you are, and that's cool because I'm originally a Birmingham boy myself.
Yeah.
So I know the areas you grew up in, and I was in most of those areas as well. You know, you had a couple of years there where you got real sick, and you were
Yeah.
And tell us how you went through and what brought you through that. What you know, I mean, that was a tough.
I don't say this lightly or flippantly, but I should have died more than one occasion.
Wow.
I had a stroke 6.5 years ago. It was April of 2018 that I had a stroke 2 weeks before my 48th birthday.
Wow.
They said it was a total fluke. Lifestyle and habits had nothing to do with it. That it was just a total fluke. 2 blood clots on my brain, and on one of the final attempts to clear those clots, thank God, literally, I woke up, and the man that saved my life was a doctor named Jatendra Sharma at Brookwood Baptist Medical Center in Birmingham. He would, in a social setting, 16 months later, after I had fully recovered, no ill effects from the stroke whatsoever, none. I just casually mentioned to him that I was feeling a little tingling or tightness in my arm, and he said, "Chris, that's your heart. We got to get you in." Well, I had 95% blockage in the Widowmaker.
Wow.
Bypass surgery was a success. Now, that was hereditary. My mother had that in 1987 when I was a senior in high school. She was just 55. It was her second surgery. She'd had the first one 10 years earlier, but unfortunately, she died coming out of that surgery. So there was a family history with that, although on my dad lived to be 91.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyway, having that from the shallow end of the gene pool, if you will, very fortunate to survive it. But after the surgery that I had, I developed an infection and spent 91 days in the hospital. All my organs shut down. I lost from 165 down to 115. There was a time that my family was told, you need to have anybody that wants to tell him goodbye come in, because he's probably not going to make it. So when I say that I'm very blessed, I don't use the term lightly. I say it all the time, but I mean it sincerely.
Amen. Well, and thank the Lord that you did survive that. And
5 years ago today, I was in a coma.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
5 years ago today.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you had some health issues, and I was glad to see you came through that with flying colors. How did you? Now I remember when we were working at Alabama Radio Network years ago together. You were in sports then,
right?
So you've always been a sports person. You've always done the sports broadcasting
since I was about 3 or 4 years old. I wanted to be, as I called him then, because I didn't know any better, I wanted to be Coward Hosell when I grew up.
That's precious. I love it.
So
Coward Hosell.
Yeah. So thank goodness, looking back, that I didn't become, or I hope I didn't become, Howard Cosell either. But I'm so fortunate. I've always loved sports. Always wanted to play it. Knew that I didn't have a future beyond one semester of college golf, being a college athlete, or being an athlete anymore. But just so blessed that one opportunity led to another. Kind of like dominoes fall when you're a kid and you stack them up. That's kind of the way things have fallen for me in my career. And ARN, Alabama Radio Network, was a big part of that for me. opportunities that I got there working for the guy we both worked for, and Mike Wood,
Yeah, Mike.
that
I remember Mike real well.
created some wonderful opportunities that ultimately led to me being where I am and doing what I'm doing today, which was a dream of mine since I was a little boy.
Yeah, and you do a great job of it. I mean, when you filled in when Eli was sick, it was so smooth and natural. I'm
Thank you.
sure that you absolutely relished that time. And now,
Yeah.
what's it?
It
I
was
mean, what's it
bittersweet.
like?
Yeah, it was bittersweet then because I had been exactly where Eli was. And when I say exactly, I mean 5 doors down, because when I went to visit him at Spain Rehab, it was literally 5 doors down from a room that I had been in when I was at the last of my 91-day stay that I referenced. I had 2.5 months at Brookwood after my infection took place, and then the final 3 weeks were at Spain Rehabilitation. And truly, I walked past my old room to go visit him in his.
Oh, man.
So
that's amazing.
It really was. So I was just trying to hold a place for him until he could come back, and was fortunate. They gave me half the games last year to do as well, and told me, Greg Byrne told me at that time, this is not temporary. You know, you are play-by-play announcers, which I was honored, because I grew up obviously listening to Eli, but even before that, Paul Kennedy and John Forney were phenomenal and great to me. It's so good. And I'm just really blessed that I got the chance to know those men and to be just the 4th play-by-play announcer that Alabama has had since the early 60s.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
Maury Farrell, I think, broadcast games with John as the lead announcer up through maybe 62, 63 when John took over full time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just the 4th, and it's you know, and I've said this and I mean it, I'm not replacing Eli, I'm following Eli.
Right.
Because nobody replaces a legend that did that for 36 years. So
understood.
Honored that I get the chance to do so.
That is really a healthy and really a good way to look at it too. I appreciate that as a fan.
Thanks.
Of both you and Eli and Alabama football. That's where I went to school. So yeah, that's my home. Let's talk about Alabama football.
I can do that.
Could you really?
Just a little. Not as well as some, but I can do it a little bit.
What do you have? What are your thoughts on our new season, new coach?
Oh, he's been terrific.
Really?
Yeah, he really has. Had the opportunity, and it really was fortunate. I came off of baseball doing the radio play-by-play a year ago.
Right.
So I didn't do games last season for the first time. Well, I did 24 seasons on radio. First 8 with David Crane, and then slid into the lead chair after that, and just loved doing it.
Right.
But with a 13-year-old and some added responsibilities on the football side, I really just mentally needed to step away some, and still did some baseball on the streaming platform with SEC Plus, but it was nice to be able to have a little bit of a hand in it, but turn the radio with 50 dates over to Roger Hoover, who does a great job on that.
Yeah.
And so it freed me up to go to a lot of speaking engagements with Coach DeBoer. We did Red Elephant Clubs. We did Crimson Tide Foundation events. We did Yay Alabama events, and Crimson Tide, like I said, Crimson Tide Foundation stops as well. So we were, I probably did 25 to 30 interviews with the man before we had a chance to do the first ball game.
Right.
And it built a relationship with him over that 8-month stretch, 9-month stretch before the first game. And that really helped. Also helps that he's fantastic. I mean, steady. He's the same guy that I talked to pregame and postgame against Western Kentucky, and in the 2 games since then that I dealt with on our first flight to Mobile to go speak to a Crimson Tide Foundation club. He's just steady as it goes, very personable. Really have enjoyed getting to know him and be around him. it also helps. He's a great football coach.
Yeah.
And is off to a terrific start. Got our hands full next weekend, obviously.
Oh gosh,
but
yes.
you know, big picture, Greg Byrne made a fantastic hire, I believe.
Good. Have you spoken with Coach DeBoer about him following a legend? That's got to be difficult.
Several times, and try to be.
I mean, y'all are both in the same boat.
There are a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
You're right. But in the case of Coach DeBoer, I've tried to be mindful of the history, and he understands that.
Certainly.
But at the same time, trying to be understanding and respectful of the fact that, hey, this guy played the national championship game last year.
Right.
He's won 3 national titles at the NAIA level, which I don't, you know, I had the privilege of broadcasting 2 NAIA championships at Birmingham Southern. So I know that that's, even though SEC fans may not be as familiar with that level, I understand that winning is winning. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I know how good a coach you have to be to win a championship there. And he fits the bill. He's going to be terrific. And he knows he's in a very tough league, but he was willing to take on the challenge. And that's the first part of it, is he just didn't want the things that come with being in Alabama. He wanted to be the Alabama coach and have the chance to win championships at the level that Alabama is able to win them.
That's excellent. Keep that level going. That's excellent. So let's talk about Georgia. They've been tough.
They've been tough for a while, but thankfully, other than the rematch that took place in Indianapolis a few years ago, Alabama's had their number.
Yeah.
And look, that's not easy. That doesn't just happen.
Right.
But I'm excited to see our team compete in front of what will be a crazy crowd at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm trying to get used to saying that.
I know. It's got to be something different, isn't it?
It's you know, all your life you've been saying one thing, and now you got to remember to tack that on in the front. But it will be electric, and then some. And it's not just going to be game day. I mean, it's already happening. You're going to have game day present. I understand there may be a presidential candidate that's going to be there as well.
Wow.
There's going to be a lot that takes place. And by the way, it's the marquee game in college football, obviously. So that'll be something else. But I'm excited about it.
It's going to be an exciting day, I'm sure. Wish I could be on campus for that. That would be
just come hang out with us.
Yeah, I'd love to.
You, me, and about 500,000 other folks come hang out.
Right. So you've got, of course, it's a bye week, but what brings you to Selma? Brings you to the Black Belt?
Being a dad.
Being a dad,
and I love it. It's really special.
That's my favorite job.
It is the toughest and the best.
Yes, it is.
Thankfully, my boy's good enough. I don't have to. It's not real tough, as well as his older brother and his older sister. But my 13-year-old's a golfer.
Great.
And thankfully, just fell in love with it like I did.
Following Dad's footsteps.
Thankfully, he is well past Dad's footsteps already. He's a better. In all seriousness, he's a better overall golfer now than I was at my best when I was 17, 18 years old. He's really done well, regardless of what happens here at Selma Country Club. But I had the privilege of coming here and playing in the Bud Burns Invitational, 1986 and 87, I believe.
Wow.
And to get to bring him back to this location where I have some great memories is just really exciting for me. And I'll caddy for him, so I'll be worn out. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him compete and play, and it's a great way to spend the weekend with him.
Well, shoot me a text. Let me know how he does when it's all over with, so I can report to everybody.
We'll do it.
Let them know how he did.
We'll do it.
I know you need to go be a dad. I could sit here and talk to you all day long because I bet you've got stories to tell.
And some of them are even true.
And some of them are true. That even makes them a little more. Well, no, actually, sometimes that doesn't make Man, thank you so much for spending time.
My pleasure.
It is great to see you again after all these years, and hopefully I'll run across you again sometime.
Hope so too, buddy. Good to see you.
Let me know if I can do anything for you.
Same here.
Thanks. Chris Stewart, Roll Tide. Oh, for all my Georgia fans, Roll Tide, Johnny.